Welcome to Breaking the Chains, Repatriation Journeys. I'm Bakita, and I'm here with our good sister, Michelee, or Lee.
Michelee.
Michelee.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I always wondered, was it Michelee or was it Michelee?
hmm Yep. I'm surprised you got it right the first time. I thought you were gonna say Michelle. I was like, no.
So yeah, why don't you introduce yourself? Let the family know, who you are. Some of them already know you, so
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Michelee from LA. For my,
Yeah.
good to remember. But yeah, like the singer Michelee, basically
Yeah.
from the same area. But yeah, so I'm from LA originally, and I went to Atlanta for school for
Which
over a
school did you
decade.
go to?
I went to Clark Atlanta and Georgia State.
Oh, cool. I went to Georgia State.
Oh yeah, oh I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Yeah, that so I went there, and I basically kind of stayed there until I moved abroad. So
Okay. So
yeah.
what made you decide to move abroad?
Well, so I started traveling when I was in college. So it was when I was at Georgia State. I was a African American Studies major, and in our department there was a teacher who was doing a study abroad program, and
Mm-hmm.
so I decided to join that one. I always wanted to. I started traveling like before that, but this was the trip that was like, okay, let me really just get out there, and then it was
Yeah.
more comfortable since it was people, and then other people that I knew who were going too. So it was to Tanzania, and I mean, it was my first time going to Africa, and like that's what I was most excited about. And I was like,
Right.
it'll be great if I can go there with people that I know, and people I can trust and stuff. So that's what really just threw me out there. And so I saw that it was easy for me to like adapt to the environment. I was like so excited. I started learning the language early and everything,
Ah,
before I even got there. And then when I got there, it was just easy to pick up, like, everybody was friendly. It was like that welcome home vibe. And I was like, okay, well, this seemed like the life for me. So I ended up going back to, well, of course I was still in school, so I went back to Atlanta. And when I finished up, I was still traveling, and I was like, you know what? Let me just try my hand at like getting out there. I was already working for myself and stuff, and I was like, well, let me just see the easiest, or you know, like a easy way to get somewhere. And I wasn't really particular about where I wanted to go, but I started looking into like teaching English, because that was one of the things, especially at that time. It was like,
right.
okay, I can take this course for a few months and get certified and go over there, teaching. And I was also studying education when I was in school. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I could do teaching or something. So I ended up getting a job in China. I
Okay.
Yeah, it was crazy because I couldn't get on the plane. For some reason, they wouldn't let me get on the plane. Like every time I would go to the
Wow.
airport. Yeah, it was just like, I don't know. It was strange. Like they kept every time it was time to get on the plane, even though my bags were on there and everything, I'm already checked in, and they would just be like, "Sorry, ma'am, your ticket's been voided." And I don't know. I didn't know what was
Hmm.
going on. My visa was straight. The plane ticket was straight. Like I had sponsors there and everything for the job. I had everything in order. But for some reason, they ended up telling me to go like do an investigation with what call Homeland contact Homeland Security.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just, I think it was one of those things, like I had heard during that time, when I was traveling, that sometimes when you have like when you visited Israel, that
Uh-huh.
sometimes, they flag your passport or something, they put that sticker on your book and
Oh.
everything. So I
So you
figured it
had
was
been
something
to
to do with that.
Israel?
Yeah, I've been to Israel like earlier that year to like late the year before.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, I was like, so I was working in a hair salon. And I'm like, I already told my clients I'm leaving, so I didn't give my clients to everybody else.
Right.
I was like, no, I'm still about to go. My bag's still packed, and so I ended up having a friend in Atlanta who was like, well, I plan on moving to Ethiopia soon. He was like, I go out there all the time, and I was like, I'm ready to leave now. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna go out there like in a couple weeks. And so I ended up I got a plane ticket to Ethiopia. My bags are packed, everything. And turns out I have a one of my sorority sisters, she's also Ethiopian. We never talked about it, but like her sister has an orphanage and a charity that she runs there. And so she was like, well, since you go in there, you can, do you want to be the director of my program out there? It was just like things just started falling into place. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. And so I ended up, that's how I moved to Ethiopia. That was the first country that I moved abroad. Yeah, it just felt, it was like the chips just fell, where they were supposed to fall.
Ethiopia, I have
Mhm.
heard some really good things about Ethiopia. I've only been there in transit. The vibe was even good just in
Yeah,
transit.
yeah.
What was your experience like living in Ethiopia?
Oh boy, so that was it was a bit of a roller coaster. So I said when I went there that I wanted to live like, I didn't want to live like an American in
Right.
Africa. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm not gonna go there like a tourist, like a foreigner. You know what I mean? I wanted to really blend in. And so since I already had this opportunity to be working with an organization, like I was taken care of, had a place to stay and everything.
Right.
I eventually got, went outside of the housing that they provided and I got my own apartment and everything, but it was I still wanted to live amongst the people and not I didn't want to move to the area where like
Like
Americans
exit
move.
community.
Yeah, exactly. And so because it gave me the opportunity to like I learned the language real fast.
Mm-hmm.
I had friends there that were like, we didn't speak each other's language. It was just like we just sitting in the room like smiling and nodding at each other like, it was just so crazy, but it was a great learning experience for me. And so I have like a lot of my friends that I made there, like we still keep in touch. Um, of course we can speak to each other better now, but it was just a beautiful experience. Like the culture is so it's really different. Like Ethiopia is different than a lot of other African countries that I've visited. Well, I've been to 11 um countries in Africa, but it was I don't know, that one is like it's a really unique experience there, like with the calendar, how they follow a different calendar and the
Yeah.
religious aspect, the different like it's a beautiful place and the like several different cultures even within that one country. But
Yeah.
it was just like really great to see it and I like I said, I got like a family when I moved there. I was working at an orphanage, working with an orphanage. And so the children, they really became like my little brothers and sisters. So it was like I went there and got a home. But at
Wow.
the same time, after a while, since I wanted to go there and live like a local and everything, I
Right.
had to deal with everything else with the, washing all my clothes by hand and you know
Yeah.
what I mean? When I got my own apartment, and I'm away from everybody else that I gotten introduced to there, got used to, because they kind of helped me. They were like, when I was asleep, they'd go and wash my clothes for me real quick, but
That's
when I got on my own, it was stuff like having to deal with the water not being on when I want to go take a shower, so I had to get up at like 2 in the morning and hurry up and take my bath, take my shower and everything. For the
so
water went.
that's an issue there too. Is power an issue too?
Well, they're in that area, I guess. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it was like that for the whole country, but where I moved to, because I wanted to be all,
Yeah.
that like it's other places that I've been where it wasn't like that, but for there in that area, it was. It was just.
Yeah. How long were you living in Ethiopia?
I was there for a little over a year. It was like a year and
Okay.
some change. Yeah. So.
So, we have, because of the climate here in America, we have a lot of our people who are looking to repatriate to somewhere on the continent. I know you've
Mhm.
been to so many places. You also lived in Egypt.
Mhm.
Um, can you tell us about your experience in Egypt and
Oh
how did
yeah,
you end up in Egypt?
how did I end up? So after I left Ethiopia, I'd gone back to Atlanta and I was only there for a few months. And through someone from Nomadness, a fellow traveling buddy, was like, well, he saw a post. He had actually come to visit me in Ethiopia. So like we had
Oh,
traveled together and everything. But he hit me up and he was like, hey, I just saw somebody that posted something in the tribe saying that they're looking for a position to be filled. It was a teaching position. And he was like, I know you're ready to go back already. I know you're ready to go
yeah.
back to Africa. And so I was like, you must have been reading my mind because I was sitting there like, where else am I about to go? Because this ain't it.
This
But
ain't it.
I'm telling you, like after I moved away from America, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
Now that I dip my toes in, in some other waters, I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable. I know I'll be good. I'll figure it out.
exactly.
It ain't no worse than it is there. You know what I mean? Even like little ups and downs is just learning curves. Because I moved from California to Atlanta and didn't have family there. So
Yeah.
what's the difference? And
Yeah.
so
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
So, I know a lot of people, they feel like, oh, when I move, I need to have so much money. I need to have like all of this experience, or I need to know somebody. I need, like, it
Mm.
seems like you were just more of the mindset, like, I'll figure it out. And
Yeah,
you just kind of like up and let's go. So
right.
how for the people who are, they're kind of nervous about moving, especially to a place like on the east side of Africa. I think most people kind of look to the west side of Africa, but the east
Hmm.
side of Africa, I believe, is as big of an option as the west side of Africa or the south
Definitely.
side of Africa. So
Yeah.
what would you tell someone who is like, well, I don't know if I can move to Egypt?
I mean, honestly, anywhere. You can live anywhere. If you've been in America, if you lived in America, you can live anywhere else. It's
Right,
not like it's places in America where it's like, well, I don't know, if you're moving from somewhere else, like, well, I don't know if I can live here. I don't know. So it's
right,
not the thing is that I try to explain to people, like I show them like even through my travel pictures and stuff, I show them the good, bad, the ugly. You know what I mean? Like it's not one, I don't try to make it like a
it's
fairy
perfect.
tale or something. Yeah, you can show that you have different experiences because all it is that, you just have to adjust. And I think it's beautiful. I think that we have privilege just being American.
Just
When they
being
hear our
American.
accent, even if we blend in, like, because a lot of people ask when I was there, when I was in Egypt and Ethiopia, they would ask, some people would assume that I'm local
Right.
until they saw like, my tattoos or something. But like I think that it's it's a different experience for us as African people from America, like to experience the privilege that we we see other people, like white people in America, having a certain type of privilege,
Right.
right? You can go somewhere else. Like it's a certain freedom that it grants you that I think is important for us to also feel. Not carry it like you're better than anybody,
Right.
but to finally not feel like you are just
The
at the
bottom
bottom
of
of
the
the
barrel.
barrel. Yeah. You don't, and I think that's important because that was I was saying that, and it felt very similar to like when I went to Clark Atlanta, like going to a HBCU. Finally, I'm not just a number.
Yeah.
I'm actually I feel seen. There are other people. I can relate to my teachers, my peers. And I think that's an experience. At some point in our lives, I feel that we need to all have that experience of being amongst like people that just look like us. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it gives you do start to feel like a little bit of that specialness sometimes. It's not always like you don't always
Right.
want to stand out. Like that's why I said I wanted to be like a local because I didn't want to stand out. Like I still when I go to the market or wherever, I'm still
Yeah.
bargaining my prices. Like you ain't about to give me like a
I know
tourist.
that's right.
Like I'm, like okay, yeah, I know I'm foreign, but we
You
hey,
ain't gotta do me
you
like that.
they're gonna be like, exactly. I'm gonna be like, my sister. I'm like, yeah, I'm your sister, right?
Exactly.
So, but anyway, so I don't try to, I never, whenever I travel, I don't care wherever I'm at, I don't try to like hold my, passport or, my nationality anywhere, like try to use it as a privilege, but you will notice that you do get privilege because of your American accent, because they know where you're from. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think, but that's just to say that you are kind of, it's like a safeguard in a way, like so that you won't be treated, you know,
Right.
very poorly, because
Right.
people think that, you just have more security if you are American, you know what I mean? Like you got an embassy that you can go to and, or you can reach out to your people, I don't know. It's just, it's like an assumption that a lot of people abroad have, a lot of people outside of America have about Americans. But I think that's pretty much it, that, it, like, it's no really, no big concern. I feel, as far as safety, as far as other things like in Ethiopia and in Egypt, in other places also that I've been, like people have been just willing to give me a job, even some I'm not even
Just
an
because
expert
you're an
in.
American,
Yeah,
right?
just because they just trust that we have better education, better
Yeah,
understanding of
it's true.
different things. So I think it's like a security. Like you'll be good if you
You'll
just
be
go
good.
somewhere and just try to figure it out. You will be good.
You know,
And
I know a lot of people get kind of nervous about going to Africa and the unrest that tends to pop off at any given moment,
mm,
like when I was in Conakry, um I hadn't been there but a few weeks, and no, it hadn't even been a few weeks. It was like a few days, I think.
mhm.
And they broke out protesting, and it was like, you need to stay home, like stay in the house,
Yeah,
don't go nowhere. And I was just like, oh snap, like what
right.
do I do? So like, I know Egypt is one of the places that'll pop off. They don't play over there. Those people they will do some stuff. So
Yeah.
how did you fare dealing with times of unrest while you were in Egypt?
Well, actually, I had just missed it, like by well, I didn't just miss it. I think that happened like maybe couple years or something before I got there. So
Okay.
I missed all that. Actually, maybe a year or two, maybe, because it was actually that whole like the revolution, and everything that was going on when I was actually in Israel. I was planning to go from Israel to Egypt for the first time during that trip. And so I remember, my friends ended up advising me to not go to Egypt because of what was going on. So I had actually missed it, but I have friends, that I made in Egypt, and they were like, well, it was a little crazy, but they were fine. My
Yeah.
American friends or whatever, they were okay. Because again, it doesn't really affect us. You also,
Right.
you definitely want to, take precautions. You don't want to be out there like looking crazy, but
Right.
yeah, I mean,
So, and you lived in Egypt and you lived in Ethiopia. Have you lived in any other African countries?
I haven't lived in any other
Okay.
African country.
Okay. Which of those two, which would you say, if you had a choice, you would go back and stay? Like that's where you would live.
Mm, out of those two, because I mean,
I
like
know
I'm
you're a
planning on,
nomad, so
yeah,
you
I
like, I
know.
don't
So
know
like
about
I'm
all
plotting
that
on the next
staying nowhere.
destination. Yeah, I'm just plotting on the next destination. Like I've been to Ghana quite a few times already, and like every time I go, I'm staying longer and longer because I
Yeah.
am planning on moving there. So
Okay.
that would be my choice. My first choice to like going and staying if I want to stay put. But
Okay.
out of those two, um, I would definitely set myself up to be more comfortable if I were going back and like staying in Ethiopia.
Okay.
Maybe Ethiopia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
It might
mentioned
be a
that.
family aspect, that versus being like in Egypt, it is, well, I was in Cairo, and it is mostly like Arabs, right? It ain't
Right.
like, it ain't like you in Aswan with like the Nubians,
Right.
right? So maybe if I was there, I mean, I don't know if I could actually even be there for real, but
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
yeah.
So
Ethiopia, because I'm honestly being from California, because they call Ethiopia like they say like 13 months of sunshine.
right.
And I'm from California. Like when you go around, when you travel around, like the weather is kind of similar. It's
Really.
very beautiful views. You can go out. Like I did enjoy in Egypt being able to like I would travel around, and do like desert activities, desert camping and kayaking and you know what I mean, doing all the little fun stuff there. But in Ethiopia, it's a lot more other things like what interests me. I love like history. I love
Hmm.
like connecting the dots. I was like, piecing together little things like, like doing my own little historic investigations and
Yeah,
stuff. But yeah,
we've
but I
had
love
some
I love the
interesting
different scenery.
we've had some interesting post conversations over the years.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy your commentary because it
Oh, for sure.
does I don't think our people really understand how much um they've tampered with our history, and we have a very skewed understanding of what African history really is.
For
So once
sure.
you're on the continent and you get to actually visit certain places and see certain things and all of the things that like I really love the history of our people on both sides
Right.
of the continent and in America. So I'm always like really like, okay, so what happened? So what really
Right.
happened?
Right,
And
exactly. Let me find out from
yeah,
the
let me find out what
from the
really
horse's mouth. I ain't trying to learn from,
happened.
fifth hand sources.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I know that had to being in Ethiopia, and I know one of my friends told me that what she loved about Ethiopia was that it felt so untouched, and
Mm,
but at the same time it was like they don't, she felt like they didn't let other people in, so she didn't
mm,
know if it would be if it was somewhere she could actually get in and fit in some kind of way.
uh-huh.
But talking with you, it seems like it may be possible to kind of get in and
Yeah, I mean, I think
know
I
your
think
people.
one of my biggest things like that I tell people who are planning or, even thinking about moving, especially like on the continent, is you can like find your tribe. And I make it a point to not only hang out with Americans, with other Americans, but it is important, I think, for any of us, like whoever you are in the world, to get in touch with people you are familiar with, people who know your
Absolutely.
culture. Because when you get frustrated, when you get in those moments where you're like, oh, because I think it would be easy to get homesick and stuff. I've never gotten homesick,
Yeah.
but it's because I position myself to where it's like, okay, I got somebody close who
Yeah,
can
you can
relate
go and
to
hang
me.
out with some
Somebody
people.
knows, yeah, somebody knows, they are familiar like what I'm struggling with. And
Right.
like, so I met people there, for example, who have been living there for like 20 years or something, like moved
Mhm.
from America, like, I'm over this, and moved there, and just chilling, just figured out life, start a business, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's always people in the world, like we're not alone. And I think at this stage, especially in 2020, there
Right.
are people who have been traveling and getting out and been tired. You just now
Right.
getting
Being
tired. People
tired.
been
People
tired, right?
being tired.
Yes, like I'm telling you, I met so many like that. They was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, sis, yeah, I see you."
Speaking of
But
being
like, and
tired,
I was in my early 20s when I moved there, so
oh yeah. So
yeah,
you being tired.
right. Like
you
I
know,
was, yeah, exactly. I was gone, and so I think it's important for us to we first have to like let go of our if we want to leave America, because we got to realize like some of the privileges that we have, some of the luxuries and things, even though they're like at the expense of other people. And a lot of us are like the expense, right? We're the
yeah,
ones who we don't get to enjoy all of the benefits. But
right.
when you're abroad, you do get to see, like we have it a little easier, even if
Right.
we like from the hood or whatever, like it's still
It's still a
easier
little
than some other
easier.
people have. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you learn how to survive. Like we can be resourceful, and just figure things out. And I think if we just surround ourselves, like get the necessary people around you. You
Yeah.
definitely want to have your local friends. You want to be open and, understanding of their culture. You can share your culture, and also just don't go around with the air of like, a foreigner. I don't suggest for people to go out and try to stand out like a sore thumb, you know what I mean? You don't want to be a foreigner. Like people
Right.
are gonna already know that. They're already gonna know you're not from there,
Right.
but I think just for just adapting to your environment,
Hmm.
just get out of them. Don't go there expecting to be America, basically, in short. That's
Right.
where
So speaking of which, I know a lot of people. I hear often. I'll say
Mhm.
that people want to. It feels to me. I may be wrong, but it feels to me like as African Americans or Black Americans, whatever we want to call ourselves, that we feel like when we leave here, we need to leave behind. Um, I guess we don't feel like we have a culture or whatever. I don't know, but I feel like we have a very rich culture, and it's something that the world tends to. I mean, we have that saying, everybody want to be black until it's time to be black.
I'm telling you. Oh, for sure.
So how was your experience as a Black American, and how people saw you,
Mhm.
as in, did they have any preconceived notions about you, or what was that part like?
Okay, so yes, finally, okay, we get around to this part. So that was the interesting. This is when the things started to get really interesting. My first experience living abroad in Ethiopia, and like I said, I started like um, hanging out with some like local girls and stuff
Mm-hmm.
around my age. And so, they would take me out. They'd always be excited to take me out and everything. Probably just carrying me around like, oh, look at my American friend, my
Yeah.
American friend. But I always found that was interesting because even like visiting Thailand, for example, it was like I can see them like trying to mirror my every move. You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
really like kind of studying us, and that was my first example of seeing like, okay, people do,
they really
like,
do
even
be.
the things that they would say, yeah. And then, but me though, I think because most people are getting their knowledge like about other people from media, right? From movies and music videos and whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting in Ethiopia how some of these same girls, like someone would just ask me, like, oh, where's your weave? I had locks at the time. But it was just like, oh, you don't wear weave, you don't wear, this and that. And I was like, girl, no, like you got the different type, you got a special African American over here. You ain't, I ain't the, not that there's
Yeah.
anything wrong with wearing weave. I'm
Right,
just saying
right. But
that wasn't
that's
me,
not that's not me. I think it's
Exactly.
the opposite thing. A lot of people go think that when they go to Africa, they're not gonna see people wearing weaves and nails
I'm
and
telling you,
all of this stuff. And I'm
child,
like,
like
no, we're
they
very
are
influential.
yes, they got everything. Like with I would still do my nails. I like doing my I like doing my
Hmm.
own nails and stuff. So I
Yeah.
always got the I keep my nails done and stuff like that. But they were expecting me to have this image of black girls that they see on TV,
Right.
right? And so I'm like, it was just me having to really explain to them, like, that we can be individuals too. Like you got rastas here in Ethiopia, like look at me as that. You know what I mean? Like the things that I'm interested in is not like we're not all interested in the same things. We're not all about
Exactly.
the same, and so I just kind of explained to them, because I'm like, well, it's girls here that, y'all don't always have the same interests. You don't have the same thoughts and
Right.
things. they adjusted. I mean, I still, I party and everything, I'm more Afrocentric and,
Right,
right. But I still, I'm still a regular person. I still party, I was able to hang out with them and everything, but
yeah.
it was just, that was the funny part. It was like, girl, where your weed? You don't want the weed? You don't want this? I was like, I'm
Yeah,
good.
a lot of people was very surprised at me with my locks. Like
Hmm.
they're like, wow, like not only do you have locks, but they're super long.
Right.
Yeah, because I've had
Like
them
you had them for a while.
2007.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that Ghana was on
Hmm.
your radar. What is
Oh
it
yeah.
about Ghana? Because I know a lot of people's eyes turn to Ghana when it comes to
Hmm.
repatriation. What is it about Ghana that draws you there?